In this next section of the chapter, we need to see how we can factorize cubes so that we can then solve cubic equations. Now I know that I have a cubic expression over here because my highest degree of x is 3. If I want to factorize this, I want to change this expression from terms to factors. Doing this, I need to consider the different types of ways that I can factorize. And I can quite nicely see that I've got a highest common factor of x. By taking out that highest common factor, I'm left with a bracket factor of x squared minus 5x minus 6. Still factorizing further by looking at the bracket, I can see that that bracket is a trinomial, and that factorizes very nicely for me so that I get x minus 6 and x plus 1. Now you can see I have 3 very good factors. The first factor is x, the second factor is the bracket x minus 6, and the third factor is x plus 1. This is a fully factorized cubic expression. But how would I factorize this expression? Because there is no highest common factor. There is no 4 or constant in the first two terms, and there's no x in the very last term. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to try and factorize by grouping. Now if I factorize by grouping, I basically am going to take a look at the first two terms and then separately the last two terms. Looking at the first two terms on their own, I can see that between those two terms there is a highest common factor of x squared, which leaves x minus 1 in a bracket. Remember that I'm only looking at the first two terms. So now if I start to look at the last two terms and take out a common factor of minus 4, I'm going to be left with a bracket of x minus 1. Remember, when your common factor is a minus, it changes all the signs. And so that plus 4 changes its sign to a minus. Now looking between the two terms that I've created, I can see very nicely that there is a common bracket factor, one on the left of the red line and one on the right. If that is a common bracket factor and I take that factor out as a highest common factor, I'm left with x squared from the left of the red line and minus 4 from the right of the red line. Now you can see, even though at the beginning you couldn't really see how you were going to factorize this, x squared minus 4 is a difference of two squares, and so I can continue factorizing, and that becomes x minus 1, x plus 2, x minus 2. So we've shown so far that you can factorize a cubic expression by finding the highest common factor, or by grouping. But what would you do if you could not find a highest common factor and you could not do an effective set of grouping? We're going to take a look at how to factorize this expression in the next video.